How often do you check Instagram or Twitter? Is it often? Do you feel like they require a lot of effort? Probably not. Personally, I can scroll on Instagram for hours. Even if I've already seen most of the content, I might still refresh the page a few times. So why is it so easy to spend hours on social media or get lost in a game rather than study for an exam or complete a report that's due soon? When it comes to doing things like reading or writing, we often find ourselves struggling. We notice how difficult it is to concentrate, how quickly we get distracted or even tired. We're fully aware that finishing our work or studying for an exam is the right thing to do, but still, the pleasure of spending hours in another world is far more appealing. Yes, this is a controversial topic. Here comes the critical question: can we trick our brains into enjoying the things we don't want to do? Have you ever wondered about the secret behind other people's productivity or success? Have you ever felt discouraged when others talk about how many books they've read or share their goals while you're still stuck on chapter 3 of the book you bought 2 months ago? In our work or academic life, there are moments when we feel pressured and simply don't want to do anything. Yet, even in such a state, we can easily enjoy scrolling through social media or starting a new Netflix series. But why? To answer that, let's take a look at our control center, the brain. Remember this: he who rules his brain rules his life. Unfortunately, our brains aren't wired for productivity. Its job is to protect itself by taking the path of least resistance and risk. So, instead of starting a difficult math test, it finds scrolling through Instagram far more reasonable and enjoyable. Rather than challenging your brain, you gravitate toward what's easy and comfortable. The more you choose easy paths, the harder it becomes to focus on daily tasks. You've trained your brain to prefer comfort. But discomfort is actually where growth and development happen. Now that we've diagnosed the issue and mapped out how the brain works, let's talk about the solution: making boring tasks enjoyable. There are several strategies to help make tedious tasks a bit more pleasant and to trick your brain into enjoying them. First, you need to understand how your brain works. Your brain constantly seeks rewards. Even a simple like on social media is perceived as a reward and triggers a dopamine release. Various studies on animals have proven this. In one famous experiment, mice were placed in a setup where pulling a lever would stimulate dopamine production via electrodes. They pulled the lever repeatedly, ignoring food or water because of the pleasure they got. When dopamine production was blocked, the mice lost all motivation, even to eat or drink. In another study, monkeys were given spinach after completing a task, which increased dopamine levels. Later, the reward was changed to fruit juice, which was more appealing and caused an even higher dopamine spike. When the reward was downgraded back to spinach, the monkeys got frustrated and refused to eat it. This illustrates how the brain builds addiction and adapts to dopamine levels. Dopamine is what drives your desire. It's what makes you reach for your phone half asleep in the morning. Lack of motivation to work might not be laziness, it might be that you've developed a high dopamine tolerance and your brain's receptors are desensitized. Reading, writing, or studying doesn't produce the same dopamine levels as watching Netflix or scrolling Instagram. Your brain doesn't care if too much dopamine is harmful, it just wants more. So what's wrong with having too much dopamine? Our body maintains internal balance through a system called homeostasis. When your brain gets used to high dopamine levels, that becomes the new normal, forcing you to seek even more to feel pleasure. This makes ordinary tasks feel impossible. To fix this, try a dopamine detox once a week. Avoid everything that gives you instant pleasure for a day: social media, junk food, games. This will lower your dopamine levels and make even boring tasks seem more satisfying afterward. Think about someone who hasn't eaten in days. When they finally eat, the pleasure is far greater than what a billionaire feels eating at a luxury restaurant every day. Of course, dopamine isn't the solution to everything, but it plays a crucial role. It's clear, we must change how our brains perceive the world. Focus on the process, not the outcome. Social media gives quick dopamine hits, but studying provides long-term satisfaction. The brain prefers short-term rewards, but we can redirect it. Set small daily goals and reward yourself for completing them. Checklists work. Ticking off tasks gives short bursts of dopamine. Use tools like Google Keep or a notebook. Write your tasks down and cross them off when done. It's satisfying and motivating. Break large tasks into smaller ones. Every small win gives you a dopamine reward. Turn tasks into something visually pleasing. Use a nice notebook, colorful pens. You can also use the Seinfeld strategy. Put a red X on the calendar each day you complete your task. Over time, you'll want to keep the streak going. Rituals also help, like turning your study time into a special routine. Even pretending a spoon is an airplane helps a child eat. Apply the same creativity to your habits. Phones are the biggest source of distraction. Put them far from reach when working. It's not just your fault that you're distracted. Tech companies spend billions to hijack your attention. They are your opponent in this battle. Distance helps. Brains work like trails in a forest. The more a path is used, the more familiar and easier it becomes. If your usual path is blocked, you carve a new one. It's tough at first but gets easier with time. Learning works the same way. At first it's hard, but repeated exposure builds understanding. Success comes from pushing through boredom, not escaping it. Smart people enjoy what they do. Geniuses make what they do enjoyable. Design your environment to help you act. Trigger dopamine from beneficial tasks. If a flower doesn't bloom, do you blame the flower or the environment? Check your surroundings, what you watch, who you follow, what fills your mind. Change that and watch yourself bloom.